to create an interactive digital tool that will enable communities in Atlantic Canada to understand how the energy system transition could impact their local economies and environments. When directed with purpose, IBM believes technology has the potential to transform lives. Backed by the power of science, AI, and hybrid cloud, IBM is taking the next step towards the goal of delivering long-term and sustainable environmental impact. Together, let's turn sustainability ambition into action.
So we are very excited today to have our partners, United Nations Development Program, Sustainable Energy for All, and Environment Without Borders. They'll talk more about the individual projects that we have with each of them, but I just want to thank them for the great partnership. And again, we need the technology, we need the partnerships, we need to be able to scale those solutions to have the biggest impact in the world, especially focusing on vulnerable communities. So now I'll turn it back to Marwa.
Thank you, Justina.
We'll go from there.
So just before we go, أنا هقلب عربي for a second عشان بس نبقى عندنا the local side of things for a second. فجوستينا اللي كانت بتقوله إنه الحقيقة IBM أعلنت عن فوز 5 شركات، واحنا فخورين جدا انه في 3 من الشركات دي موجودين النهارده معانا هنا في شرم الشيخ، موجودين يتكلموا على الاكسبيرينس بتاعتهم وازاي التكنولوجيا هتساعدهم ان هم يحققوا الاهداف بتاعتهم للاستدامه والكلين انرجي او يعني الطاقه النظيفه. فبالتالي واي بي ام الحقيقه عامله انفستمنت كبير في القصه دي، ده يعتبر حوالي 10 مليون دولار 10 مليون دولار مع الشركات دي في الكوهور ده او في التراك ده بتاع الطاقه النظيفه. السنه اللي فاتت اعلنا عن يعني 5 شركات تانيين كان في 10 مليون دولار. هي اي بي ام ملتزمه في البرنامج ده على مدار ال3 سنين ب 30 مليون دولار للوصول لحلول ان التكنولوجيا ازاي تساعد في حلول لتحقيق الاستدامه. دلوقتي هو اسهل حاجه ان احنا نسمع من الشركات الفائزه ونشوف الحلول بتاعتهم. I will pass it over to the first partner and winner with us to tell us the experience. Yeah, can you please go, Ahuna? Yeah.
I didn't know I was a winner. Yay! Thank you so much, and greetings to everyone. I want to really say here that the words that you've heard so far are very appealing, exciting, energetic, vibrant, partnership. For UNDP, there are 3 words that attracted us to this initiative: speed, scale, and sustainability, because that's what development in the 21st century has to be about, because way too many people are left behind. And they are not waiting. They cannot wait. The world cannot keep people waiting. Of the 770 people without access to reliable and sustainable energy, 600 million are living in Africa. So that's 75% of the population. That's what excites me about UNDP's association with this, because we've made a commitment, along with other partners, to bring electricity to 500 million people worldwide in the next 4 or 5 years. This is UNDP's commitment. So initiatives like this from IBM, working with private sector, because we know that private sector is key in this. And it's about technology as an enabler and an equalizer. If we don't crowd in the support from the likes of IBM, technology would actually foster inequality, because it will only be accessible to those who can afford it. So the whole point here is making technology an enabler for affordable, clean energy. And in many parts of the world today, we still can't get there. The possibility is there. And I think really that this partnership for us is vital, not just from the investment that you're making. $30 million is impressive as a contribution, but we know in relation to what the gaps are in the energy sector, it's a drop in the ocean. But why is this investment vital and transformative? Because it will help us create the influence that is required in the area of policy. It will help us de-risk the environment for other investors to come and make the heavy investments that will be required to actually shift the needle. It's going to help us facilitate the kind of governance that allows for inclusive approaches to this issue. So I want to say a big thank you to IBM for taking this amazing step, and that we as UNDP are incredibly proud to be associated with the initiative and to be working with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Akhuna. Thank you. So, Mr. Jim Walker, would you tell us about the experience?
Thanks very much. We're really pleased to be here today. We're excited to be working with IBM on this project, the Sustainability Accelerator. We're an international non-profit. We were set up by the UN 10 years ago. Our role is to work with the UN system and a host of other partners, including UNDP. So it's really great to be on the stage with UNDP today to close the energy access gap, deal with energy poverty as embodied in Sustainable Development Goal 7, and to do that in line with the Paris Agreement. So the global task is to get to net zero and get to zero energy poverty much before then. We're excited about the partnership with IBM just because data is such a huge part of the challenge and the opportunity here. So the sort of the computational capacity, the modeling capacity that IBM can bring to some of the work that we're doing to support policymakers to sort of set better policies and better planning, to think ahead on closing the energy access gap and dealing with climate change, I think can be transformational. And so we're really looking forward to working with the IBM team on this. And again, I'd like to add my congratulations on such a significant investment in the issue, and I think really timely and a sort of really relevant capacity that IBM can bring. If you look at some of the issues that we're dealing with, where I think we're going to sort of dig deep with IBM around urbanization. So we're living in a warming world, we're living in a rapidly urbanizing world. A lot of the challenges around extreme heat that we're seeing from climate change at the moment are happening in urban environments, where you're seeing on average 1 to 4 degrees more warming in urban environments than you're seeing in rural areas, and up to 10 degrees being observed. And so urban environments are kind of where climate change is killing poor people. You know, it's one of the many ways that climate change is impacting poor people. And so thinking about how we can plan for that better in a rapidly urbanizing world is going to be really key to success in the next couple of decades. You've got cities like Nairobi, so we're going to be working in Kenya and India to pilot this project to start off with. Cities like Nairobi, like Ahmedabad, are going to be mega cities by the middle of the century, more than 10 million people. Looking at trends in urbanization, so sort of looking ahead to where is urbanization going to happen, how are those cities going to grow, where are they going to grow vertically, where are they going to grow horizontally, is going to be really key to helping policymakers think about cooling. So how do you provide services that can help the populations of those cities deal best with the effects of extreme heat, which are exacerbated in urban environments? There can be very low-tech solutions, urban tree planting, white roofs. There can also be higher tech around early warning systems. But if you think about something like urban tree planting, being able to peer into the future, into the shape of your city in 10 and 20 years' time is going to help you plan much better. And so we're going to be working with IBM to look at AI solutions that can help to project out urbanization patterns geospatially in the next 10, 20 years so that we can help policymakers and those that are advising policymakers to make smarter decisions around helping their populations plan for climate change. So we're really excited about the immense knowledge and capabilities that IBM is going to bring to this partnership. We're looking forward to creating a tool that's going to be open source, available to everyone, and can help hopefully disrupt the process of planning for not just cooling, but a host of other urban and rural challenges that rely on the sort of best-in-class geospatial data to set good policy. So looking forward to working with IBM. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. Dr. Aidel Abdallah, the CEO of Environment Without Borders. Can you tell us your experience?
Yeah, thank you so much. And actually, because I'm Egyptian, I would like firstly to welcome all of you here in the land of peace and in Egypt, and we actually, all of us, so proud about what we are doing now, and we hope actually by the end of this conference that actually we can move to take action. And I'm really actually, as a Environment Without Borders Association, we are actually so proud to have this partnership with IBM. And let me start with a say. We have it in our foundation that talking about local communities that say that if you help me to stand up, I will walk the rest of the way. We believe actually in helping people can make a difference. And let me grab just some words from IBM itself, that they say IBM believe in progress, that the application of intelligence, reason, and science can improve business, society, and the human condition. So we, as a EWBF, also believe that helping people and actually support them is much better than only feeling about them. So what we are doing in our initiative actually is to help these people who are vulnerable to some environmental threats. And of course, we have like 30 protected areas in Egypt, which actually covers like 15% of the total land of Egypt. And most of these areas actually was inhabitants inside these areas. So we feel that we can support them because actually there is no, for some of them, they don't have access to even the electricity. So also the regulation of the national parks, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to have access for this electricity, but the good way that we are moving to enlarge the using of green energy like solar energy inside these areas. And we are here through our initiative in a partnership with IBM to provide these communities with help and to try to overcome most of the challenge that they face. And we are actually so proud to working with you in this initiative, and we hope actually to do something in reality and make it in action. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and we're very proud, to have everyone and the 5 partners are winners, and we are also winners as IBM to be working with you on, achieving the objectives and meeting the climate change challenges. Now I would like Engineer Amr Mahfouz to tell us also about his point of view related to this whole announcement.
Thank you, Marwa. Happy to be here on behalf of Dr. Amr Talat, Minister of Communication and Information Technology, and happy to witness the launch of this important initiative by IBM, Sustainability Accelerator, and also very glad to see an Egyptian company taking part of the implementation of this important initiative. Clean energy and sustainability is high as a priority on the agenda of the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. And definitely the role of technology is very important. So when COVID did hit 2 or 3 years back, people looked back to technology and said, how can technology help us? And definitely technology did play a great role in reducing the impact of COVID. And now with the climate change and the environment challenges that we are facing, people again are looking at technology and say, can technology have a role? And definitely technology has a very important role to reduce carbon emissions and to help improve the climate situation. Digitization is a mega trend to reduce carbon emission for sure. Digitizing government services, digitizing applications, and enabling citizens to go to any government services while they are at home is definitely helping to reduce the carbon emissions. Egypt and the Egyptian government has a very big digitization program. We have now digitized more than 150 government services and still planning for more. Also on the telecommunication side, we have an initiative now to encourage the telecommunication operators to share towers rather than having each company use or erect and build their own towers. So tower sharing again helps reduce carbon emissions because definitely every tower consumes energy and has carbon emissions. Also here in Sharm el-Sheikh, so while preparing for this conference, we have put systems for smart irrigation, solar systems, and we have upgraded the internet speed for the conference to about 70 megabit per second. We have erected more fiber networks. We have upgraded the telecommunication capacity in the city. At a wider scale, the Egyptian government has invested more than $1.6 billion in upgrading the internet infrastructure. The fiber network has been installed in more than 32,000 government buildings and more than 2,300 schools. Also, we have a plan for green data centers and implementing green data centers to help reduce the carbon footprint. The new capital being a smart city, which will be inaugurated next year. The government will start moving there next year. So the plan is to have a paperless government in the new capital. It's a smart city implementing solutions that again will help reduce the carbon footprint. The waste management, irrigation, traffic lights are all implemented to reduce the carbon emissions. Also, we have a big program to support startups that have solutions or environment-friendly solutions. You can see in the green zone, the MCIT Pavilion, we are hosting startups that are demonstrating the solutions. One of them, for example, is for the electric battery for public buses with its control unit, with its software. So this is again will help reduce significantly the carbon footprint and the emissions that are coming out of public transportation. We are hosting and supporting competitions that are focused on green solutions, like Climathon, which was held more than 1 month ago. This morning I was witnessing the competition in the Climatech, and I believe the prizes will be announced or will be in a press conference 2:30 today. So again, another initiative from MCIT to help our startup ecosystem, not only in Egypt but globally, to invent green solutions. At last but not least, very important is skills development, because any initiative that are based on technology will not survive without having the right skills. So we are heavily investing in digital skills development. In the last couple of years, we have trained more than 300,000 individuals on different digital technologies, and we continue to invest more. Our investment in training has doubled 22 times in the last 4 years, and we will continue to invest. Egypt is an important skills hub, not only in the region, but globally as well. And we are one of the major offshoring centers on a global scale. So that's all from my side, and maybe I would like to do a quick translation in Arabic of what I've just mentioned for our local press colleagues. So الحقيقة اتكلمت على المبادرات اللي الحكومة المصرية بتتبناها للحلول الخضراء أو الحلول اللي هي بتدعم التحسين في أو التقليل من عملية الانبعاثات الكربونية. اتكلمنا على مصر الرقمية وخدمات اللي الحكومة المصرية بتعملها رقمنة. أكتر من 150 خدمة النهاردة تم رقمنتها. ده معناها إن المواطنين مش لازم ينزلوا وينتقلوا للمكاتب الحكومية، فده معناه إن احنا بنقلل انبعاثات الكربون. أيضا اتكلمنا على إنه الحكومة استثمرت أكتر من 1.6 مليار دولار عشان الكلام ده يحصل في البنية التحتية للإنترنت، ووصلنا أكتر من 32,500 مبنى حكومي بشبكة الألياف الضوئية وأكتر من 2,500 مدرسة. عندنا أيضا خطة للداتا سنترز الخضراء أو مراكز البيانات الخضراء. اتكلمنا على المشاركة في أبراج الاتصالات بين شركات المحمول المختلفة، فده بيقلل عدد الأبراج اللي محتاجين إن احنا نحطها وبالتالي يقلل انبعاثات الكربون. اتكلمنا أيضا على العاصمة الجديدة وإنها مدينة ذكية، وإن الخطة إنه في خلال 18 شهر إن شاء الله يبقى عندنا حكومة لا ورقية. اتكلمنا برضو على الشركات الناشئة والدعم اللي الحكومة بتديه للشركات الناشئة اللي بتعمل في مجالات البيئة والمنافسات المختلفة اللي الحكومة بتدعمها. واخيرا اتكلمنا على موضوع تنمية المهارات الرقمية، وان احنا مرنا اكتر من 300 الف شاب وشابة في اخر سنتين، وان شاء الله هنكمل في هذه الاستثمارات. شكرا لكم.
Merci, Ms. Mansam. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. We're here for implementation and making technology help support and reach the sustainable objectives. If there's any questions, we'd like to take them outside. Thank you for joining us, and thank you again.
that it's going to have. This is really the moment of truth. Expectant to be hit very hard indeed.
What can be done to reverse the spiral?
ظاهرة تغير المناخ تحمل تهديدات حقيقية لشعوب منطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال إفريقيا،
حيث تعد مصر واحدة من أكثر الدول تعرضا للآثار السلبية لتغير المناخ.
تغير سريع جدا، التغير هذا مخيف لنا جميعا.
that we provide these insights. This program also reiterates our commitment to supporting startups, as we believe that it's a way to achieve sustainable growth. So I look forward to seeing progress, success in the many startups that have been selected today, and looking now forward to the winners. Thank you very much.
Let me move to USAID. As I mentioned, also a very important partner, and of course, many startups coming from different places. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. My name is Jason Taylor, and I'm happy to be here on behalf of USAID Mission Director Leslie Reed to celebrate the finalists and winners of the Climate Tech Run competition. This is a fantastic event for COP27 that showcases innovators and entrepreneurs working towards climate adaptations and green solutions. The U.S. government is proud to support innovation, climate resilience, and entrepreneurship. Climate change is a threat that sees no borders. The United States is committed to cooperating with our global partners to strengthen our shared climate ambition. In support of Egypt's green transformation, USAID is helping Egypt adapt to climate change, mitigate the severity of climate change, and access financing to implement climate solutions. Through USAID's nearly $35 million Business Egypt program, we are proud to organize and support this competition along with the Ministries of International Cooperation, Environment, and Communication and Information Technology. Other key stakeholders include the World Food Program, Google, and the African Export-Import Bank, who all contributed to the success of the Climate Tech Run. We are all too aware of the threats of climate change, and we are no longer talking about some distant, abstract concept. This is the decisive decade for our planet and our future, and that's why we are all here right now at this event, at COP27, to find solutions together. Climate Tech Run highlights initiatives that will drive green innovations and breakthrough technologies in the global climate change agenda, and provide novel opportunities for business startups to test and grow their ideas. Programs like this are so important because they take us to the next step, implementation. Beyond listing the reasons why we must address climate change and discussing the possible ways to mitigate its impact, you are all doing the work. You are innovators and change makers. I applaud each of you for the determination and creativity you've shown over the last several months, from your initial applications to your impressive pitches this morning. Thank you for inspiring us all, and I can't wait to see where your ideas and businesses take you next. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Next we go to World Food Program. Praveen, we had lots of discussions when we were designing Climate Tech Run, and I want to thank you and your team and all the work that went into putting this together. Please go ahead.
Excellency, members of the panel, competitors, I think this is a crowning moment. This is really taking pledges to implementation. This is really taking dreams to realities. Food security is at the top of the agenda today because of climate and climate crisis. This has demonstrated that today crises are no longer localized. They are no longer in small places. This is now a global phenomenon. It's happening and it affects each and every one of us. Today, I believe the competitors have demonstrated how ideas can go to millions of people immediately and in real time and make effective solutions in areas such as waste management, in areas ag tech, fintech, energy, transportation, supply chains. This is really integrating everything, and this is how, and Excellency, your idea to bring this to happen through Climate Tech Run has really shown immediate results. So congratulations to the Egyptian government and to you and your leadership in this event. This has also created not only new thinking, but a space, a real space that people can come together a real area that I can and we can should be the lemma. It is no longer of ifs and buts and whens, but now. And I really do believe we are breaking down the traditional barriers and building new bridges. Bridges which are technologically advanced and will reach millions of people at a flick of a switch. So once again, it's the multiplier we were looking for. As a World Food Program, we've tested it across 80 countries. 9 million people have been benefiting from this. So now's the time. Thank you to all of you for really thinking and going beyond. I used to think the sky was the limit. Today I'm convinced our mind is our limit. If we can think it, we can do it. So congratulations to all of you.
I just look at the faces of, whom we're celebrating today. A lot of energy, and energy is contagious. So thank you for these smiles, and thank you for this very wonderful positivity. Alessandro, UNDP has incubators and accelerators, and we want to benefit, and all of them want to benefit from that. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, dear Dr. Rania. And congratulations on putting together all these partners and to support all these young people. Really, you deserve very much credit for that. We have many innovation challenges, we have many such competitions, but it's the partnership what makes the difference. And, of course, applying it to the theme of the day, where we are all here, so climate change. So here, innovation in technologies is extremely clear. It's very much a big priority. And our shared objective must be to help harness the skills of entrepreneurs and the potential of these technologies to reduce carbon emissions, build resilience and protect the environment, because that's our main goals. So we need to apply these technologies after competitions like this to develop smart cities, to do e-mobility, to do smart agriculture, all things that maybe a few years ago they didn't look so much possible. Now the acceleration that this got, not only by the climate emergency, by so many other crises that we are dealing with. So this is an incredible opportunity to move forward, to accelerate, as you said. I represent here the United Nations Development Program. We have a network of accelerator labs across the world, and the main purpose is precisely this, is to exchange such innovations, to free up the time and the mind of people, of young people, of creative people, to think outside the box and to tell us, look, that's what you need to do. Don't stay in your bubble. This is where the world is taking us. You're not seeing it, maybe. And so that's what we are putting, that's our contribution here. We're extremely happy to be part of this partnership. Thank you once again, Dr. Dani, and the partners.
IAI Glotcha, and that is a very innovative name. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Miroslav Polza. I'm with the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges, and we are delighted to be here today, with the Minister of International Cooperation, because as our name says, we are looking how can we make the world more effective in the fight against the climate crisis, and we have identified culture, technology and organizational innovation as the three pillars which can help in this respect. And then we've organized last year the Digital Art for Climate competition for COP26, and we were delighted when this year in June, Tamer, your team member, approached us and said if we would like to partner with your ministry on this. It's very important. It's really the way to reach the public, to get everyone engaged. And we have with our digital innovation community within the UNFCCC process, we have now also a pavilion in Area C, the stand number 55, and there will be at 5 o'clock today the presentation of the Klimatech Run Digital Artist Track winners, and everyone kindly invited. And once again, thanks for having us with you.
Well, I guess now the moment has come, but before we before we talk about the winners, let me recognize the 15 runner-ups that were with us, made their way to Sharm el-Sheikh. Thank you for applying, thank you for presenting this morning, and thank you for all the innovative ideas you brought to Sharm el-Sheikh. I think now someone has to tell me what I need to do. One by one, مش كده? Okay. The third global startup, and this is a startup that focuses on food security and agriculture, Coltiva from Indonesia. USAID, if you can give the check. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. The second top global startup also focuses on food security and agriculture. So adaptation is very much featured in innovation and solutions. And this time it's from the United Kingdom, Earthly. Google. Yeah. The second top African startup, this time it's also adaptation, but it's not agriculture, it's water management. And South Africa, Liquid Gold. Alessandro. Congratulations. Thank you. And now for the top African startup, and my colleague Praveen, you'll give the prize. It's also waste management. So again, adaptation is featured very strongly, agriculture and water and waste management. It's from Cameroon, Bligli. And then the final one, and let me ask President Urama so that you can give the top global startup prize. Praveen, we have to. Thank you. President Urama. And for the top global startup, and again, food security and agriculture. So again, not a surprise that food security is making it when it comes to innovative solutions. This time it's from the United States of America, Ripe Labs. And I think you're American Egyptian, is that correct? Okay, good. Maybe with all the winners, if we can come to stage with the partners. Yeah. I think this will not be the last competition. We should do more.
Yes.
With more partners. And let me also recognize my two colleagues who couldn't make it, Ministry of Environment, Dr. Fouad, and Minister Amr Talat, Minister of ICT, who were very keen to also be part of the competition. And thank you for the teams who worked very hard, and for the judges this morning. Everybody was very much working with passion and with love to make sure that the innovators and the creative artists are all, but the creative artists are leaders. And thank you, Tamer, so much for leading this from our side. Thank you, Tamer. Thank you.
Welcome back, dear viewers. On the sidelines of the COP27 climate conference, Nile TV brought you a live session on food security challenges affecting the world, attended by Minister of International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat. Dear viewers, this was coverage, Nile TV's minute-by-minute coverage of the COP27. Stay tuned, we'll be bringing you more.
But there's a huge degree of you saying that you guys have recognized perhaps that you're a bloc in a way, that the parliamentarians themselves have actually become a bit of a bloc. How do you guys actually break that within yourselves, and where will this, I don't know whether do I call it a council, or where is this new formation that you guys are looking at? How does it take this further if that's what you're looking at? And perhaps if you could just outline the framework and structure of it. Will you check in with each other every year or every 6 months, or how does it actually work so that we actually can follow how well this is working? Thank you.
Thank you. We certainly could gather your information and to keep you informed of the process, because we are just starting. But who wants to respond to this very crucial question, which is how you see these COPs and usefulness or unusefulness of all these processes, when of course so dire events happen in every country? I don't know who wants to. Senator, please, and then maybe.
There is cynicism, there is skepticism, not just on the part of politicians, but even on the part of the executives. Every COP we come and make agreements, and we seem to be busy always preparing for the next COP, and we never have time to implement and oversight that implementation. We agree that members of parliament have not just been left out, but we probably have not played our part effectively, simply because climate politics is not politics that wins elections in many parts of the world. For example, in Africa, there is no Green Party that has ever ascended to power. If you sit in Johannesburg, you will understand the debate that politicians are having around coal. Are we going to shut down our coal plants, and yet it's our biggest political base and our biggest source of employment? And yes, politicians and elected members of parliament have played that politics. We feel that we should now mainstream that climate conversation in our politics, however irrational our politics is. This is time for us to create a climate agenda in our politics. In some cases, you end up losing votes, but in the long run, you end up saving lives.
Thank you, Senator. We have to leave the room for the other panel and the other press conference. Just want to give you 1 minute to Amira and Rebecca and Dr. just to say what kind of message you want to give. And again, the idea is really to raise your voice, the voice of the parliamentarians, and please, you can make, of course, all the interview you would like if our colleagues accept outside. So maybe starting by you, Rebecca, what's your short message you want to send?
Yes, this short message I want to send is we parliamentarians need capacity. Climate change issues, we know they are not new, but now they are the platform, and people are suffering. And these people are the ones that elected us. If we don't have capacity, we can't be able to make the correct laws to mitigate climate change. We can't be able to monitor the monies that are coming in for implementation. We can't be able to monitor the implementation itself and even make regulations. We need capacity, and we need support to ensure we do our oversight role. Thank you.
Very, very strong message. Amira.
In a minute, it's an economic decision. So it needs the will of politicians to intervene and to shift the economic decisions toward this green economy. Because if the money isn't there, we cannot get out of this. Was it for capacity building? Was it for changing from the most polluting industries to green ones? Was it to adapt? And actually in a country like Egypt, we need billions of dollars to just adapt to the effects of climate change. So who would really vote for this? Who would address this if not the parliamentarians? So the bloc should be dissolved, and the bloc should be like resolved in a kind of on the different aspects. Some of the national parliamentarians should be addressing the global world or the other external parliaments about their pledges to be done. Another internally should talk to the people, and they should ensure that what is being pledged is being into the laws, because that's how I can really ensure the oversighting either of my government or our national determined contributions. And that's what actually I drafted in the proposed bill, to every year check the amount of, in a numerical value, the amount of the advancements in this sense.
Thank you, Amira, and thank you for recommendation of that NGO and civil society talking to you to really make whole government accountable. Doctor, last word for you, and then again, just 1 second.
All right, thank you. I think politicians or parliamentarians are the best negotiators in the world that I know. So I want to see them either force or compel the executive to make them part and parcel of the climate change discourse. Thank you.
من 7000 سنة المصري كان مشغول بفكرة الخلود، فكرة غريبة لكنها خلته يخلق طرق جديدة لتحقيقها. فكر ازاي يستغل كل الموارد اللي حواليه وفي نفس الوقت يحافظ عليها، موارد زي الشمس والرياح والمياه، يحقق بيها حلمه في الخلود والحياة بعد الموت، ويخلق حضارته اللي هتعيش لسنين طويلة كأهم حضارة هتعرفها الإنسانية لحد النهاردة. وما اكتفاش بكده، كمان دون قانون يحمي بيه الموارد دي ويفضل ملتزم بيه كل مصري. لم ألوث ماء النهر.
Everybody understand that the lungs are really at the center of this lack of action or a lot of action. When the lungs are affected by the pollution, we have 7 million premature deaths every year. But when those lungs are the lungs of the kids, that is particularly painful. There is nothing that will generate you more anxiety, more stress than see a child with an asthma case. I used to be a medical doctor, a physician by training, operating in very difficult situations, and nothing has caused me more stress than see a child suffering a very acute case of asthma. The thing is that we can treat asthma fine, but what is the point of treating asthma if we send the child back to a very polluted environment? That's why we think that bringing the health argument, this can be the best motivation ever that we can have to elevate ambition and action on climate change. In addition to that, I started to get very optimistic that we will find solutions to this the day I met the moms. The day I met this group of moms, I say, now we are on business. When a mom is fighting for the health of his child, her children, what else? I mean, what other force, what other power in nature you will find? Nothing worse or better than a mom fighting for the health of their children. So now I have a lot of hope that we know that these moms will make all of this irreversible. This battle will be the one that we are going to win, or as mothers we will fail, and we don't want to fail the health of our children. So thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for putting the kids at center to remind all of us the urgency of this, the level of ambition we need to raise, and the speed. Thank you very much again. And bravo for what you are doing. Bravo.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's true. Don't mess with a lioness. That's what we like to say. So now we're going to go over to Sophia, who's 13 years old and who's come from Dominican Republic. Over to you, please, Sophia.
First of all, I want to thank on behalf of all the boys and girls who have come to participate to the COP27 champion, Mr. Mahmoud, and the COP26 champion, Mr. Nigel, for this wonderful opportunity to let the world know our concerns, ideas, and proposals on environment and climate change. We want to tell everyone that there is no more time, no more excuses. The planet cannot wait any longer for us to understand the signs that it gives us on a daily basis of how it is affected by pollution, lifestyle, and production. All this in exchange of wealth and money and power accumulation. What good are millions if we cannot buy clean air to breathe with them? What good is power to us if we cannot get water to drink with them? How can we call ourselves human beings if we destroy the possibility of existence of thousands of species with whom we share this wonderful planet? All girls and boys of the world deserve to live a dignified life on this planet, a life with food, water, air, and a healthy environment in harmony with all species. We want to tell world leaders to honor the leadership position that their people have given them, fulfilling the most important mission of their lives, saving our planet. Thank you.
Now we're going to watch. Can you hear me? Now we're going to watch a film that we produced especially for COP. It's children's voices from around the world. Please, for these 5 minutes, don't go on Twitter, don't go on social media, and just let the voices of these children enter your heart. If the technology is with us, it should start.
Hey you! Yes, I'm talking to you. Do you see this? Reports are coming in from my associates all over the world. Ghana, Brazil, Botswana, hi, India, hello, South Africa, hello, Molo. To grown up to that big climate meeting need to listen to us kids and keep us all safe. You see, my friends and I are counting on you to do much, much better to keep our hopes alive. People around the world want this too.
Leaders, please listen to kids' voices on our natural environment. Keep on planting trees for the next generation.
We're the next generation.
Our climate now is getting bad if we don't do something about it.
If we were in charge, things would be different. Friends, we're sending in the dreams.
Me llamo Lea. Tengo 3 años. Me gustan las catarinas. I dream the world to be like very beautiful green trees, many animals, and there is clean and shiny water, and we can drink it very nicely. I wish for a world where there's fresh food, fresh fruits, fresh water, and also I wish for a world where there's fresh air. Nano Abiamisi, Hivyo das way, Nano Tigai. Do you see this? Here comes the climate monster, gobbling up all our dreams.
We have a message for you.
Na verdade, a minha maior angústia é literalmente não saber o que o mundo vai ser. Tipo, eu tenho medo que o mundo possa ser péssimo, com várias espécies não conseguindo sobreviver daqui 50 anos, mas, de certo modo, eu ainda tenho, no fundo, alguma certa esperança na humanidade, de que as coisas não vão ser assim.
Lately, I've noticed that it's very hot in Chennai, and there are many unseasonal floods in Bangalore, and there are forest fires all over the world almost every day. And this is actually becoming scary and serious, and we need to put an end to this.
Me sede count from message because me first stay look the small islands in the Pacific. So if we found a fixing problem block climate change, by one day but for no got any place for stay.
I'm sending you this message because of all the bad things that have happened, like the drought, the rainbow lorikeets dying, the snow gums and the bushfires. We could have stopped that if we had our eyes opened. And you can still stop that.
I challenge you to change the world now, and we will follow in your footsteps.
Natural disasters affect marginalized communities the most. Because of floods, adults can't be able to go to work, and it also affects us as the youth. We can't be able to go to school. Without an education, we can't achieve our dreams.
So world leaders need to put the dreams of these children first and allow the children to grow up in a clean environment where they can breathe clean air, enjoy nature, and fulfill their dreams.
World leaders, we really need your help.
There is only one Earth. Kids first, not profit.
Leaders, listen to us children, please. Put kids first. Didn't you get the memo? Put the kids first.
Put the kids first. The film is available, it's on YouTube, so if you go to Our Kids Climate, Parents for Future Global, you can watch the full film. And there were hundreds and hundreds of submissions from children from around the world. We couldn't put them all into the film, but we'll put them on social media. We have to get their voices out there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Oli Fuyani from Our Kids Climate and Black Girls Rising, who also featured in that film.
Thank you so much, Maya. I mean, being part of the making of that movie, having watched it, I don't know how many times, it still really hit hard, you know, especially when you hear the stories of how climate change is already, you know, affecting the lives of children, especially children from the global south. And it just really makes me think that, like, we often say, you know, like when people are born, they're free and they're equal, but not everybody is born free and equal, especially when you haven't created this mess. And so there are criminal polluters out there who are continuing to fund fossil fuels, who are currently killing our children. I mean, in South Africa, we have communities where there are children who are struggling to breathe. And probably right now at this moment or at this minute, there's a child out there who's taking their last breath. There's a child out there who's being displaced, who doesn't have a home to stay. There's a family who's probably have no idea where they're going to sleep because they've been displaced due to natural disasters.
And therefore, we really urge the leaders to really put the rights of the kids in the forefront of action. I mean, we keep saying that we have time. We don't have time. I mean, the clock is no longer ticking. It has exploded already because we are currently seeing the effects. It's no longer about now. It's about yesterday. I mean, we as adults, we have a responsibility to really uphold the future of these children sitting here. I mean, when I was the age of Sophia, I was not even thinking about climate change. I was living my life playing in the streets, chasing butterflies. And I think that's all we want for these children, to really become kids and not to be sitting here at COP and fighting for the mess that they didn't create. Because it's us, the adult, that has created that mess. But also I'm very optimistic because I know that with us uniting and really holding the government accountable, they can be changed. So we just need to keep raising our voices and keep holding those who are killing our children accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Oli. We're going to go now to Bavreen Kandari of Warrior Mums in India. She's just come from India where the air pollution is so hazardous. Please, Bavreen, tell us more about that.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Maya. And Dr. Maria, of course, she's truly an inspiration for us, at least somebody who's taken our voices forward. I am here from the most polluted city of the world, and even as I just came here, it was the AQI was in the most severe that we can see, that you can't even measure above 999. It was in that stage. The schools were shut down. There was, and this has been repeating for years, and it's a city where, with the studies now, I'm thinking of Dr. Arvind Kumar, I wish he was here, he said he would come. And every third child has damaged lungs. Every time I say that, I get goose pimples, because probably my children, daughters who are now 18, and I've been battling this for, say, 2 decades, but I've not been able to help them, and they have damaged lungs. So that urgency and that the desperation of the mothers is the reason that we are here, and stressing the leaders to keep the kids first in every decision. And why shouldn't they? Because they are parents too. And the whole purpose of saying this is that when we are and we share the same concern, when as a parent we promise our children even before they are born that we will look after them. And now recently the study is so heartbreaking that the toxic PM 2.5 is there in the fetus, and it's in the lungs and the kidneys and the brain of the fetus as well. So what worse can we do? So I'm here just stressing this, and now the asks are very, very, we just keep repeating them for us. We rely so much that the health, like Dr. Maria said, that the health and air pollution it comes together. You cannot separate that. It took us years for us, even us, to know what are we asking for. And we still don't have the revised, they haven't updated the revised version in my country, considering that we have the largest number of polluted cities in my country. So, we keep asking, we keep doing campaigns, we're writing legal letters. Should that be the case where children are literally choking or their future is getting damaged? So this is something that all the governments all over the world have to understand, that they have to prioritize health. And for whatever reasons, I'm here for air pollution, but it could be any reason. That is what is going to give us a brilliant economy, and you could save your trillions of dollars. And I used to always say 7 million people died. It's not even 7 now, it's close to 8 million people and died. But Dr. Maria corrected us at one point, and that was something I've learned, that no, we will be able to save those 8 million lives if we follow the guidelines. The fossil fuels have to go. Countries like mine, it's difficult. They are, talking of not phase out and phase down. we understand the challenge, but there's nothing a bigger challenge to see a lung cancer report for your child in your hands. I just hate to say that, and I don't know how many of us will have to be doing that, and it's not acceptable to anyone. So it must be prioritized, and we have to all work together, and that's why the parents are the strength, and we will all speak up. And I am the voice for a lot of mothers from my country and who are also looking for this desperate need of clean air. Thank you.
So from India to Brazil to our very good friends at the Alana organization. Thank you, Alana, for all of your support. And to Lais Fleury, who is a child rights expert and also a mum.
Hi, I work for Alana, social global, South Global Organization, social environment impact organization from the Global South that aims to protect and defend children's rights. But I'm also a mom of two beautiful girls, Alice and Leah, and I'm here to bring the voice of them and the voice of kids from all over the world, because kids, they represent 1/3 of the population of the world, and they are the most vulnerable and bad impacted by climate crisis. And in 2021, we had 1 billion of children and youth impacted by climate hazards, and these confirm how bad impacted they are by climate crisis. So we need urgent a cover decision for children at COPE to incorporate their rights in climate change, in climate actions. This year we celebrate the anniversary of 30th anniversary of UNFCCC, and has never ever had a decision that consider and protect children's rights. So we urgently need a children action plan to mainstream children's rights in all the mechanisms, procedures and decisions of climate action. So we need to guarantee and give to children the future in the present. So let's fight to incorporate children's rights into climate action. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our wonderful speakers. I just want to say in closing, from an early age, we teach our children, don't we, to share. We teach them about fairness. We teach them about compassion. But where is that in the international system and in the international response to the climate crisis? Is it fair that in my country, Shell and BP are making record profits when the planet burns? And is it fair that rich countries aren't making good on their climate pledges? The fairness that we teach our children and that we aspire to has to now translate into climate action. And as mums and dads and grandparents, we're going to keep fighting for our children and all our children. And join us, and let's put the kids first. So children, kids, please come up. We're going to unveil the banner, and we're going to shout kids first and take some photos. So can all the kids, and also Juliana and Patience and the rest of the delegation, the mums and Alana, friends, please come up for some photos. Kids first.
Sophia. Sophia? How old are you, Sophia? 13, mashallah. Sophia, thank you.
من 7000 سنة المصري كان مشغول بفكرة الخلود، فكرة غريبة لكنها
Thank you very much, Special Envoy. Now we open the floor to questions from the press. Please introduce yourself first, and we will choose who gets first. Raise your hand if there are any questions. Please. Yes. We will prioritize questions from the press, so please introduce yourself first.
Alors, bonsoir tout le monde. Je me présente d'abord, je suis Mme Biliga Koivogi, point focal genre et changement climatique et membre de CVF au niveau de la République de Guinée. C'est à travers moi que notre pays a adhéré au CVF. C'est un grand plaisir de me trouver devant vous ce matin. Je voudrais juste savoir si votre organisation a-t-elle des lignes pour soutenir des projets de femmes. Je vous remercie.
I'll ask my colleague Matthew, who knows French, to translate it, but I would also ask colleagues from the press. We have to prioritize questions from the press. Those who are not from the press, you are encouraged to ask questions to our panel, but after the press conference outside. But please, Matthew, just so we honor the question.
Thank you. A member of the CVF who's joined and was wondering whether the organization has support lines for projects relating to hunger.
Thank you. The question is noted, and we will answer it after the event. There might be other questions from the press. At the back, please. Please be clear.
Hi, I'm Ed King from Carbon Copy. You talked about a cover decision text which would compel countries to revisit their pledges next year. Could you talk a bit more about that and what you would like to see in that cover decision? And a kind of second question, how surprised have you been at the level of detail that we've seen from many developing countries in terms of their plans so far, the climate prosperity plans, the Bridgetown Agenda, in contrast to what we have not seen from developed countries? Has that surprised you at all?
Jan, would you like to take a first stab? No? Salam. Okay. Salam, please.
My apologies, I don't speak French, so I just want to ask what project...
From the back. First.
Okay.
Cover decision, on the cover decision.
Oh, on the cover decision, what we would like to see for the forum is a decision that compels major emitters to revise their NDC. For what we see from these results is all developing countries, most developing countries aligned with this result, especially those that are most vulnerable to climate change. So we would like to see, based on the new synthesis report of the NEPC, this report, those countries would now need to come up with a stronger NDC detailing out how they would plan to bridge the gap. And of course, it's a bit of a surprise to see that these countries do not have a detailed plan. And as you can see, vulnerable countries, they have their prosperity plan and their NDCs are aligned with the Paris Agreement. I hate to say that this isn't a surprise. This has happened before, and we do see vulnerable countries taking the lead in providing ambitious NDCs, and that's what this report confirms.
On the second question, the special envoy will answer it. Could you just repeat the second question, please? Just to be clear.
The second question was in relation to the number of plans that developing countries have come forward here with, such as the climate prosperity plans and the Bridgetown Agenda pushed by Barbados, in contrast to what we perhaps haven't seen from richer countries. Has that surprised you, the lack of detail that wealthier countries have been able to come forward with here?
Right. Yes, at CVF, we're looking at
moving from or transiting from vulnerability to resilience and finally to prosperity. Our developmental agenda, as has been enumerated by a lady here, touches on finally getting the people of vulnerable countries on their feet. For that reason, we have priority areas that we're looking at critically, even though the prosperity plans are being put together by various countries, and it's going to be a blueprint pathway to development sustainably. Our priority areas goes to loss and damage, adaptation, and of course mitigation. And under loss and damage, we're looking at establishment of dedicated funding commitments that will cater for poor, vulnerable countries and these people. Also, establishment of dedicated funding mechanisms. And again, the Global Shield in COP27 outcomes that we're looking forward to. And as an IPCC special report on loss and damage commission also points out that it is a crucial thing to deal with. And then under loss and damage, finally, we're looking at mandating, COP27 mandating GEF to fully integrate addressing loss and damage and other distinct activity area programs for funding. Adaptation 2, we're looking for standalone implementation plan on the COP26 Adaptation Finance Dublin Pledge. This is clear in itself. Operationalization progress on the global goal on adaptation is also a very important aspect that we're looking forward to. With mitigation, that's 1.5 degrees Celsius, we think stronger COP27 should mandate 2023 NDC enhancement by responsible countries. So this, by and large, we think the CVF countries, Africa and small island states have been able to put up a lot. So we expect our partners and colleagues who have the stronger economies and who have lots of resilience and the resources to come to table so we can move forward this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I may add as well, the reason why the statement from the Special Envoy and from the CVF countries that the Glasgow Climate Pact is broken is for simple reasons. All ambition seems to be with the vulnerable countries compared to what the rich countries are doing. And this is terrible. This is terrible because probably if they were not on a survival mode, the situation would be a little bit more different. They think probably that they have more time to extend their current economic goals. But the truth is, it seems to be that the expectation is for the vulnerable countries, the most vulnerable in the world, to be ready to sacrifice their own working families' ambition in order for the rich countries to maintain their lifestyle right now and to maintain their economic edge. That is why it's broken, and it cannot be. And this is why this report shows clearly who is at fault, what needs to be done, and the fact that the vulnerable countries will continue to struggle mightily to achieve the objectives of the Paris Agreement because their very existence is at stake. Unfortunately, there is an illusion that the developed countries are free from this concern as well. As CVF has always said, the fate of the most vulnerable will be the fate of the world. We can win together or we will lose together as well, and that pain should be enough, except that it seems to not be so. Are there any more questions from the press? If there is none, thank you very much to everyone for attending this event. The event is closed. If you have questions, we are certainly free to answer your questions as well. There is a request for a photo. If you can, my colleagues can stand up, please.
Osprey. Glanate, Dene Sotlaneta, Ariel Tseekwe Hushe, Duranje Betsiini Hesli, Athabasca Chippewan First Nation, Hotsi Helsi. My name is Ariel Tseekwe Duranje. I'm a member of the Athabasca Chippewan First Nation, which is located in the Treaty 8 territories of Northern Alberta in so-called Canada, and I'm the Executive Director of Indigenous Climate Action. And I think that Osprey hit on a really important point around what is the integration of a rights-based approach into divestment really look like, and why is it critical and important to understanding how we move from just divestment of moving money from one power to another, but how do we create a divestment movement that encompasses a justice framework? When we look to advocate for not only just the movement of money from dirty extractive oil and gas economies to regenerative economies, we have to look at what does that actually need to entail. As an Indigenous person from a territory that has been under threat and under attack by extractive resources with the largest industrial project on planet Earth, the Alberta tar sands, I have seen firsthand how big corporations and multinational corporations are invested in the destruction of our lands and territories. They're not just there to destroy the earth, though. They're there to make money. That is the bottom line for them. And how we move that and change the entire financial sector involves putting forward policies that protect not only the lands and territories and the planetary health, but the health of those that have protected these spaces since time immemorial. Indigenous peoples' rights have been advancing steadily and quickly since the passing of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples in 2007. We have seen the advancement of Indigenous rights throughout not only the UN spaces here at the UNFCCC COP meetings, but within the CBD structures, and now we are starting to see it advance within the divestment movement. Indigenous rights-based approaches to divestment are critical and essential. But we have to talk their language, because they're investing billions of dollars into projects that are violating our rights and that are violating our rights to free, prior, and informed consent over the control of our lands and territories. In order for us to move forward in a climate justice framework, we must demand that the financial institutions not just adopt policies to protect the earth, but policies to protect the people. And this is implementing tools of free, prior, and informed consent that will allow our communities to pull the levers and the alarm systems to demand that these projects are not invested in and that we move beyond just sort of moving money from one place to another. I want to name one other thing. When we talk about the source, stopping at the source, the financial sector, we also have to be talking about what is driving that source. For Indigenous peoples, climate change began at first contact. In North America, this was the culling of the bison. This was the transformation of our grasslands into agricultural fields. This was the mining of our oceans for fish. We saw colonialism breed extractivism and capitalism. And when we talk about addressing these sources, we have to be moving towards what it means to address those sources and change them and flip them on their head. This is not about putting a price on nature. This is about uplifting the rights of people and valuing it. One of the most amazing numbers that I have seen is that when Indigenous land defense and land defenders go out and protect our lands to stop fossil fuel expansion, we are vilified and we are criminalized. But when you put numbers to paper, what we have recognized and had been able to see in a report released by Indigenous Environmental Network, Indigenous Climate Action, and Oil Change International is Indigenous land defenders and land defense has equated to almost 2 billion tons of carbon being kept in the ground, just from land defense alone. Indigenous rights equals climate mitigation, and it ushers in a new regenerative economy where we can invest in community solutions that are about relationships to land and place, the safeguarding of biodiversity, and the building of new economic structures that are not invested in extractivism and the destruction of Mother Earth. Thank you. Hi, hi, Masicho.
Thank you so much for your important comments and again emphasizing the fact of the integral role of Indigenous rights as we move forward in divestment work. And I'd like to hand over the floor to you, Zipporah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Spray. My name is Zipporah Berman. I'm the International Program Director at Stand.Earth and the chair of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative. We know that fossil fuel production is causing the climate, the health, and the global energy crises. As world leaders gather at this UN Climate Summit, it's time they end the expansion of new fossil fuel projects and financing of fossil fuel projects and commit to a plan and a timeline to phase out oil, gas, and coal in keeping with the science and in keeping with principles of equity. We need to fast-track a global fair transition to clean energy that leaves no country, no community, and no worker behind. A COP that does not address fossil fuels is a COP that doesn't address the root cause of climate change. The world is already enduring deadly floods, fires, and droughts due to our addiction to coal, oil, and gas. Air pollution is responsible for 1 in 5 deaths globally per year. Health risks as well as loss and damages from climate change will only escalate with every fraction of warming. We know that 3 things are responsible for the majority of emissions today: oil, gas, and coal. They're the primary cause of the destruction. 86% of carbon emissions currently trapped in our atmosphere are caused by oil, gas, and coal. Wealthy nations must pay for the wreckage they have caused while also avoiding further loss and damage and more deaths by ending the expansion of fossil fuels. This year at COP27, governments gathering here must pick a side. Like the high-level expert group did on Tuesday, the United Nations appointed Catherine McKenna and other experts to address what makes real net zero. They couldn't have been clearer in their report. If we follow the science, that means no new fossil fuel expansion, no new fossil fuel infrastructure, and it means that offsets, if they're used at all, can only be used after companies, banks, and governments meet their own mitigation targets. Let's put that in contrast to the GFANZ Banks initiative that we've heard a lot about here yesterday during Finance Day, but also last year at COP. GFANZ members who say they are committed to net zero are deeply involved in financing oil and gas expansion. In 2021, 44 of the largest members provided $143.6 billion in lending and underwriting for 75 companies doing the most to expand oil and gas. My own country has the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, here on our national delegation. RBC, since COP26, has spent $9.2 billion in fossil fuel finance since joining GFANZ. We understand that conversations are beginning today on the cover text here at COP27. This year, our governments must tell the truth. They must respect the science and have the courage to acknowledge the need to stop fossil fuel expansion. No new projects, no new infrastructure, no new financing. What governments do here, the commitments they make, the policies they make, will create market certainty for the solutions that we need for a cleaner and safer world. We hear a lot that the money isn't there, so I wanted to put that into perspective as one of my final points. $100 billion, Americans spent that on their pets last year. $100 billion, it's the amount of profits that big oil companies made in the last quarter. Analysis this year calculates that the oil and gas industry made $2.8 billion a day in pure profit every day for the last 50 years. The most interesting solution proposed here at COP so far is Mia Mottley's global windfall tax. Tax 10% of the profits of just 15 of the large companies could deliver $37 billion in the last 9 months for a global just transition. We need our governments to stop hobnobbing with polluters and to get serious about stopping pollution. Today, Global Witness released a report that the delegates from the oil and gas sector are up 25% from last year. More than 600 people here are delegates from the fossil fuel companies. That's more than all of the delegates from the 10 most impacted vulnerable countries. These companies are not going to design their own demise. They are what are holding back climate progress, and continuing to allow them here to design what the world does to address this crisis will only hold us back. Financial institutions need to commit to real net zero. They need to stop financing new fossil fuel projects and move quickly to divest. Let me be clear. It is not a transition if we are continuing to grow the problem. As we sit here in Africa today, in the Horn of Africa, a person is dying every 36 seconds due to climate-induced drought. Every dollar spent today on new fossil fuel expansion costs lives. On Tuesday, the President of Tuvalu announced its support for the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, following a commitment by Vanuatu and support from Vanuatu for the Fossil Fuel Treaty at the United Nations General Assembly. We urge more countries to endorse the Fossil Fuel Treaty along with the WHO, the Vatican, and 70 cities who have now joined the call for a fossil fuel treaty, including Belém today from Brazil. I'm just going to end with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zipporah. And I just wanted to also note, since you brought up GFANS, that it's really, when we were meeting with the banks, we were also commenting with them how just a few weeks ago, since they made all those commitments in Glasgow and all these different pledges, that the initiative for the Race to Zero, which was sort of built into the DNA of GFANS, was retracted a few weeks ago, and they now no longer are saying that their members need to adhere to the Race to Zero. I mean, they're taking a step backwards. So we do need to really push forward here at this COP and really hold our financial institutions accountable, as well as our governments, to move on stopping this fossil fuel expansion and investment. So thank you for that and those announcements about the Fossil Fuel Treaty, which are very exciting. Thank you for your work on that. And we would love to now hear from Leila Salazar Lopez.
Thank you. Powerful women, warriors here. Thank you all for being here. My name is Leila Salazar Lopez. I'm the Executive Director of Amazon Watch. And I first want to begin by sharing a little bit about the state of the Amazon. Earlier this week, we were sitting on this very stage sharing about a newly released report called Amazonia Against the Clock: Where and How to Protect 80% of the Amazon by 2025. Why? This latest report, which was released at Climate Week in New York and then re-released on Monday with some new data, daunting data about the state of the Amazon rainforest, the world's largest and most biodiverse terrestrial ecosystem on our planet. It is at a tipping point. It's not nearing like we thought 20 years ago. It's at a tipping point. There are parts of Brazil and Bolivia that are unraveling, that have already crossed the point of no return. I never thought I would say that we were already at the tipping point. I thought it was something that we would see 20, 50 years in the future, and that we would be able to turn it back before we even got there. But the reality is that 26% of the Amazon rainforest is already deforested and degraded. The good news is that 6% of that is highly degraded and can be restored. 100 million acres can be protected. by indigenous peoples. Those are the best protected lands in the Amazon rainforest. And we can protect them. We do have hope because of the new elections in Brazil. We do have hope once again. The primary drivers of deforestation and degradation and what's causing the tipping point in the Amazon, some of the primary drivers are the extractive and fossil fuel industries. And they're not at it alone. It's governments, it's corporations, and it's their financial backers that are causing the destruction and the deforestation and the degradation of the Amazon rainforest, and the threats and the attacks, and frankly, the murders of indigenous peoples. Brazil and Colombia are the most dangerous places to be earth defenders. And it is because of these industries, it's because of it's because these industries are incentivized to invest in this destruction. And so, together with Stand.Earth, Amazon Watch has been doing lots of research over the years. We've exposed the fossil fuel industries, we've exposed the banks, both asset managers like BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street. These asset managers that are investing in oil companies like Petroperu, that are investing in oil companies that are deforesting and degrading the Amazon. We also have called out European banks. And because of our research and our engagement with some of these companies, I'm proud to say that